Mayor, I actually need to do a report out on the closed session.
Okay, I apologize, Michael. Yes, so we're back in open session. Michael will do a report out on what we discussed in closed session.
Good. Oh, they're setting up the technology, but sounds like we're good to go. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to do the report out on the closed session. On item number 2, the council conferred with its real property negotiator, provided direction, no other reportable action taken. Same thing with item number 3, which was the exposure to litigation. Council conferred with its attorney, provided direction, no other reportable action taken. And on item number 4, the claim of Chavez was rejected and direction was provided to the city attorney. No other reportable action taken.
All righty, then we'll move on to presentation, city park concept.
Mr. Dobbins is going to introduce us to that item.
Yeah, just a quick introduction. Jean Salcido is going to present on her proposed city park. It's located, actually, can you show that little? I have a little image, and so it's on city property at South Belden at C Street, behind the existing homes, basically across the slough from the city corporation yard.
Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Sylvester from Gonzales Youth Guardians, and I want to present to you a park that we want to build and we need to build, because this park, you know, it means a lot to the community. It means a lot to the residents. And it's a very big thing, especially for the part where I live, because I'm a resident of that park that they're trying to build it for. I'm a resident for them. And it's very hard to get along in that area, that certain area, because of how much of a border we have, how much of things we cannot do around that area. I see kids every single day playing around in that area, and it's very unsafe, very extremely unsafe in the apartments. And personally, I've had an experience where a friend of mine almost got ran over back there because they were playing and because they weren't being taken care of properly. And I feel like with this new park, there could be a lot more safety controls, a lot more safety with the kids. Not only that, but we do have a park, that Sentimental Park. But the thing is, so far away from that residency. It's so far away from where we all live. It's kind of a hazard to have to leave your kids there and have to walk, 3, 4, 5 blocks just to see if your kids are all right. Instead, if we build this park, it's at least half a block away, at least half a block, if not the max 1 block. And that's safety precautions for the kids, not only for that, but for the senior citizens as well. We want to build a park so that everybody can get out, so that everybody can have that opportunity to be able to freely get around Gonzales and get around town. And not only that, but I want to make this a generational thing too, so that I may pass by that park and tell my kids, my nephews, my nieces that I helped build that park, and that all these other people helped build that park too. Because we might not have the funds, but we can build it together. We can build this all together so that we may be able to get a safe environment for each and every one of the kids. This park is like needed to the most potential. We have so much potential for this park. We want to be able to build basketball courts. We want to be able to build soccer fields, a cool, calm, chill place. I talked to Jean last time that we're having a little party in the park, the park for Little League. And I was talking to her how it would have been so good if they had that closer to us, because we can't go all the way that far, especially those little kids who can't get that far away from their house. It's good to have this park very close by, especially to those who are trapped, like the people in the Casa de Oro. These super seniors and these senior citizens, these people are enclosed in their homes. They have little to do. Trust me, in those areas, there is almost nothing to do. The most is the park, but again, that's very far. It's not enough for us to be able to get around. And I feel like this park is a very, very open place. It has a lot of potential. It has a lot of things that we've all been looking for, every single kid in my area. Like all those kids, I'm telling you, I've seen them walking around, I've seen them playing, but it's very unsafe. I mean, that place where I live in has a street where cars go at least 40 miles an hour. At least 40 miles an hour. And that like street is very close to where everybody plays, where every single kid I've seen play. That's very unsafe. And I want to make this park so that people can be safe, so that adults, so that parents can trust their kids, even by themselves. If an emergency were to happen, they're a block away. If the emergency were to come across, they're right there. They live right close. They live right there in that vicinity. They don't have to walk 2 to 3 blocks just to get to their kid. I want to make this park, again, for generational purposes, because it's not only me that's going to try to build this. It's not only the community, but it's everybody in Gonzales. Everybody wants to come together to make this happen. And we just want to make Gonzales a better place. We want to, what was that word, Gene? Beautify. We want to beautify Gonzales. That's what I was looking for. I think, Ms. Lorraine, you were talking about how you wanted to beautify Gonzales. We could do that with this park. It's a very big thing.
Absolutely. Please.
Just want to make sure, this is the one thing that you got some funding from other pays, is that correct, Jeannie?
Yes, it is,
Yes.
Miss.
We can share. Yeah, thank you.
See, and as you're getting the plans for this park, it's really not that complicated. All we want to really do is have a little calm, relaxed area so that we can all enjoy, so that we can all relax, so we can get there and just have a great time. Just have a calm, little relaxed time. It's not complicated. It's not overly done. It's just walkways, basketball court, whatever we can get our hands on. Barbecue, anything we can get our hands on so that the senior citizens, the children, everybody from that area in Gonzales, so that they can have a good time, so that they can relax on Sundays, so that they can finally have that time where they can take a rest from work, from all their struggles during the week. It's not complicated at all. Especially for those senior citizens who want to take a walk every now and then, who want that exercise. Because I mean, who wouldn't want the exercise?
Sylvester, may I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Have you done a survey of how many rental units are in that area?
We have.
Okay. Do you want to give
There are-
those numbers out to the council here?
There's a total of 115 apartments with no playground at all. 115 apartments. The park has, the thing has 24 trailers. The Casa de Oro has 20 senior citizens, and none of these people have any recreation. They don't have anywhere to go. They don't have anywhere to relax, to finally have their free time. This park could really help out. Any more questions?
Not a question, but it looks like they were trying to show, was it just a parcel? What were they gonna show? The technology didn't end up working. They're trying to figure it out.
So it was just an aerial image that showed the layout of the site. That's it.
So we can share that with you all later.
2020, I received a knock on my door, my home. And there's a couple of, I would say, good 10, 12 youth. Or they were seventh graders, 8th graders. And they came knocking at our door, asking if they can play basketball in our backyard, because my brother and I share a backyard, or our backyard's back to back. And these boys wanted to play basketball. So our home has been a safe house for all of these youth to come to since COVID 2020, even before that. So, and they're continually coming. They're hungry, they want a place to, rest, just a, place, safe place. So their families, they know that they're there, and I'm happy that they feel comfortable having them in our home. But yes, I just wanted to share. And the majority of those boys came from the south side of the apartment complex where Sylvester came. So I just wanted to share that.
Not gonna lie. When we first started coming to Gene's house, it was about 7 of us. Now that we do Bible studies, now that we do all these things, it's an average of 30 kids, if not more than that. So it's kind of a toll on Jean. Her house is getting fuller and fuller by the day. So it's kind of, she's trying to kick us out.
There you go.
Yeah, and I understand her brother gave you a time restriction on the basketball because you guys are just
Oh,
wanting to
yeah.
play all night.
Yeah, we're only allowed to play until 9 p.m.
There you go. You can ask a question, Mr. Mayor?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the property in question, so who owns it? Is that?
Owned by the city.
In the city? Okay.
City property.
Anything else?
And that currently is just,
vacant lot.
just a green space or,
No, it's just a vacant lot,
Vacant lot.
chain link.
It's
Okay.
more brown than green.
there you go. Fair enough. It's not a green belt?
I've been hearing about this for a while, so I know a little bit about it. Having a community building park, is that something that is viable? I mean, can we do that? That's.
So that's a legal question?
That's a legal question. Michael, not Patrick, then. I just want to make sure.
You know, I'd have to research. I haven't seen that done, although I can't imagine that there would be a legal prohibition to the construction of sort of a similar sort of sweat equity sorts of situation, right? Where the community helps to construct certain aspects. Obviously, there's certain things that folks could not do, but I think that it's definitely something that I could look into.
Okay.
There's also the option of a potential lease agreement with them. Like other places, Rancho Cielo, for example, leases Rancho Cielo, the land that it's on for $1 a year. If we wanted to enter into some kind of agreement like that too, we can explore that. They do have, or Jean does have a 501(c)(3). So that may be an option to look into as well. But yeah, there is some homework to be done.
This is another question. Because the grant was given last year and the project was not completed, are we, that's my question.
Yes, so I have addressed that with Jean, and one of the things that staff has been able to do is connect her with our landscape architect. I can't recall the name, but
So Larry Foster of BFS Landscape Architecture out of Monterey. And one of my reasons for connecting Larry is he's the landscape architect on our community center project, and he's the landscape architect at the high school stadiums project. So it's like you got work here in good size work here in Gonzales, and could you help us on this? So he's actually coming down Thursday, meeting with me and Jean, and I'm just going to advance this concept.
so the grant funds that she received that you're referring to will be able to pay for the landscape architect to give us a clear set of plans and move that project forward.
I just want to make sure that we have to keep everything.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
For me in particular, when Jean and her group came and said, what do we need to do something like this? I particularly like the concept that it's not something elaborate. There's no money, there's no for swings or any of that stuff, you know, and I told her that up front that a swing set's probably, $300,000. When you look at everything that's involved with putting a ADA compatible and all that good stuff. But when they came up with the idea of just grass, a basketball court and a picnic area, I didn't think that was too elaborate. And I personally, I did go ask a couple of the neighbors, the Franchonis, Calibros, and anybody else that would knock on their door and open it, what they thought of the idea, and they all thought it would be great to have greenery behind their house rather than a bunch of weeds.
Mhm.
Because again,
Yeah.
with the advent of the fireworks, they're hoping that one doesn't land in that dry grass.
Yeah.
And light things
So
off.
it looks like a good project, Mr. Mayor. And so it's a presentation. So this is not an item per se for public comment. and so forth.
No, but I'm.
So looking for next direction or next steps, do we ask staff to bring it back as an item? So it can be discussed in public and so forth and receive public comment?
Yeah, and so we have legal.
Yeah. All right.
Especially after you meet with the architect.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Jean.
Thank you,
Thank
Jean.
you.
Thank you, Sylvester.
Thank you.
This is the one I want. Come on, Sylvester, like it's okay,
All right, business from the public.
Actually, Mayor Rios.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we need to pause the meeting so we can restart the Zoom because it's, well, people in the public aren't able to,
Also, this whole presentation was not on Zoom?
they can't hear anybody, is that right?
Okay.
Speak to the.
If I share a presentation, they're not gonna be able to see anything at all, only people in Zoom.
Okay,
Okay.
so we need to restart so they can share.
Yeah, please
Okay.
restart.
All right.
So this is probably about a 2-minute pause.
Okay, so we have a 2-minute pause. Anybody need to do? Anybody need the little boys, girls room? Public comment and consent agenda. 2 items only. Yes.
It worked earlier. No. That's fine.
All right. And we'll start with public comment. Any member of the public wishing to address the council, may do so at this time. We're limited to 3 minutes and the council listening to all, so we'll take no action.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Daniel Gutierrez, 1614 Spumani Way. The reason for my visit tonight is to express my concerns about not so much the parking in Canyon Creek, but the potential illegal parking in Canyon Creek. Obviously, it's an issue all over town. A couple of weeks ago, my wife and I took a ride around our neighborhood in the evening hours, about 10:15 or so. We counted 863 vehicles in our neighborhood alone parked in the street, in the driveways, or on the grass. There was not a single available spot in our neighborhood anywhere, even along the park side. But most recently, I've noticed, because I walk my grandkids once, maybe sometimes twice a day around our neighborhood, is the amount of vehicles parking, blocking the access ramps. There are, I believe, 28 ramps in our neighborhood. And that evening that we went out, all 28 were blocked. Last night I went out again and 6 were partially or completely blocked, along with 1 fire hydrant being blocked. I will commend the police department. I called about the fire hydrant, and no lie, with not even 2 minutes went by and there was an officer there. But unfortunately, the people saw me calling and they moved their car, but I have the photo. And I know it's a problem everywhere, and the police have more things that they need to deal with, and it's not a question of enforcement. I know they're out there doing their job. I truly believe it's a matter of ignorance on the part of us as residents, that we just don't understand the ordinances and the vehicle codes. I had to look up the code myself. Having been on the fire department for a long time, I kind of knew that what they were doing was wrong. But I did find the code very easily and I read it, and sure enough, they all appear to be in violation. So I guess my concern is, as somebody who does go out walking, if I can't use the ramp, I then have to go around and put myself in a situation where I'm crossing where a vehicle is not expecting to see me. Or my grandkids that I have with me or other people. That poses a danger as well. So if there's anything that the city can do to consider, maybe if they're able to paint the full area of the access ramps, whether it's yellow, blue, or red, so that cars know not to park there. I'm sure that would be one way to alleviate the problem. Otherwise, they're gonna keep doing it. Last night, that there was one truck parked there this morning, still was the same truck that was there last night. He didn't move. But to me, it's more of the safety concern that I have, because there are elderly people that I see walking around that do have to go in between cars. And sometimes they're very large vehicles. We have industrial sized work trucks that park on corners, making it hard to see as well. So any consideration you can give would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Nope. Stella, anybody via Zoom?
No comments via Zoom.
Thank you. Mary, any comments via email?
No comments via email.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and close that part of the meeting and move on to the consent agenda. If you've all had an opportunity to review that, any comments, concerns, or items that someone would like to pull?
I'd like to pull item 8, please.
And I'd like
to pull 16.
8 and 16. Okay, anyone else on this side? Okay, then we'll go ahead and start with item 8.
Okay, I'm gonna take partial responsibility for this because I probably should have called you Carmen. You could have probably explained it to me, but I thought it would be better if I tried. Okay, the first one is warrant number 50759, CA Consulting. 14,000, I'm sure that's over a period of time. C4, I'm sorry, C4 Consulting. I know it's because I know that what the full amount usually is, so I'm sure this is for,
Yes, this is actually C4 Consulting's Michelle Slade's contract, and she doesn't bill monthly. She bills like every 6 months or so. So it's a group of invoices billed, paid out.
okay, perfect. And then the second one would be, actually, I have 2, and this is for, if you wouldn't mind, it's the 50794 and 50797. I'm sure those are credit cards, I'm assuming.
That is correct.
Okay, if I could get, if I could look at those, if you could send those to me, just so I can kind of take a look. I know that the new system will probably break everything down. The others were smaller, but when I saw those, I thought.
Give me the 2 numbers again that you want?
50794
94, okay,
and 50797.
97. Okay, will do.
Okay, thank you. And that's it for now. Thank you.
And Liz, you had item 16, I believe?
Yes, I want clarification on this item with regards to the SRO that the city is considering paying half of the cost. Is the school going to be invoiced for their portion by the city?
That is correct. And this is not anything new.
Right.
This has been in existence for many, many years, and it's a great partnership between the school district and the city. And what happens is actually the school district reimburses the city for half of the SRO's position. And yes, the city will invoices the school yearly half of the amount of the SRO. So we will be invoicing them actually, and they will pay us.
And the liability is 100% for the city. And in the event that the SRO becomes injured while addressing something at one of the school sites, is it the school's responsibility or the city's responsibility?
Yeah, the employee belongs to the city, it's the police department, employee, police officer.
Okay,
So the city would bear the complete burden of, any injury that may happen. As they would any officer anywhere in the city, should something happen.
Okay, and it's too bad we can't build something in there towards the workers' comp costs. I mean, just in the event that an officer is injured on duty, I understand he would be a liability of the city, but if he's doing something not on patrol, but over there, I mean, I guess there's a gray area. But thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we can look into, see if any others that have similar agreement, have anything like that. It is, in our favor to address any issues that are happening at the school, that we prevent them. And so, you know, so it doesn't spill out into the community. So it's a plus for us to have, ears and somebody there that can help address anything before it becomes an issue, and obviously safety concerns and anything, that can escalate. So it is a good thing for the city to have that, but we'll look at, see if there's anything related to that in any other contract. Okay. Did you want to add?
I was just gonna add, when initially when this position became, all that stuff was taken into consideration back in the day. We just did an increase in the amount we're gonna charge the school just because of inflation.
Mhm.
I don't know if we necessarily looked at workers' comp fees as part of that, but consideration was given to pretty much every aspect, uniforms, training, things of that sort, so. It's pretty much
I mean, I'm
applied.
totally in support of an SRO. I think it's,
Right.
it's definitely an asset to our community. So
I get what
I'm-
you're saying, though.
I'm in
It is a
favor.
cost, so
Yeah,
I can't answer the question if workers' comp was part of that or not this time.
okay, thank you.
The only concern I had was, we've been limited on resources from our PD because we've had a number of vacancies. Are we currently at full staff?
We're down 2 positions, one of which we have somebody in the academy that will be graduating in January. So theoretically, we're down 1 position. The SRO helps out considerably, not just at the school, but as a backup officer to supplement our patrol when need be.
All right, I just don't want to take any more resources than what we have and, limit ourselves. That's my concern.
Yeah, no, I will add that, as Chief said, this was just bringing the agreement current. It was already, been established for many, many years, but we brought it, current because the school district was also wanting to ensure that they have access to the SRO on site, and they really appreciate having that, ability to make contact and deal with any issues before they, spill into the community. So it was also a request from the school district to make sure that the SRO continues to be a partnership between the school and the city. But point well taken, the SRO does patrol out. I see him often. So whether it's between shifts at the school or what, certain amount of his hours, he's
Yeah.
still out patrolling and providing services out.
And I can definitely state that when I've picked up my grandchildren, when they're sick in the office, he's in there talking to the kids and meeting with parents and teachers alike. So it's very, very active in the schools.
If I could just add real quickly, I actually had the stats in front of me from a previous meeting we had with the school district. For example, for the high school alone, for 2023-2024 year, 100 total calls for service, 62 of those were handled by the SRO. And then we have a breakdown for each school, if you're interested in hearing that. Fairview, there was a total of 100 calls for service at that school, 55 were handled by the SRO. La Gloria, 90 total, 71 of those were handled by the SRO. So
Yeah,
it's doing a lot of work at the schools.
Good. Good to hear.
Well, if there's no other additional questions, then I'll entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve consent agenda as presented.
second.
All those in
Mr.
favor?
Mayor, before do we need to open this in public comment at all? I know we asked for.
We can ask for the public comment. Anyone wishing to comment on these items may do so at this time.
Or to pull, so, yeah.
We discussed the items pulled. Anyone wishing to comment on those items may do so now.
That's right.
See no one, I'll go ahead and ask, Estella, any comments via Zoom?
No comments via Zoom.
Okay, Mary, any comments via email?
No comments via.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and close that public comment period and bring it back to council. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to the regular agenda item. And one of my favorite subjects here is the community center construction update. I'm assuming that's Mr. Dobbins?
Yes, sir. Mayor Rios, council members, good evening. This is a progress report on the construction activities over the last 2 months for the community center project. We came before you at your July 22nd meeting, so these are updates since the July 22nd meeting. I want to mention Luis Flores of Harrison Associates, who our construction manager is here and is going to help me with this presentation. So as the council is aware, phase 1, which is under construction, will construct what we refer to as Building A, which is includes the library, Teen Innovation Center, conference room, the courtyard with the amphitheater, frontage improvements along Fifth Street, the entire parking lot, and a lot of landscaping. Future phase 2 will construct Building B, which is the community center, including the community hall, fitness center, commercial kitchen, meeting rooms, and more restrooms. Phase 2 has been fully designed and will cost an additional $12 million. So phase 1 went to construction after we received the city building permit, and we completed all prior to construction conditions required by our loan from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And we issued a notice to proceed with construction effective June 10th to auto construction at the not to exceed amount of $18,718,000 and change. So the construction progress, which is listed in the staff report, just some highlights from it, is the foundation and reinforcements for the foundation, which is all completed, and the concrete footings were poured on August 21st. That was followed up by the pouring of the concrete slab for Building A. That was done on August 30th. That operation began at 5 a.m. and entailed staging 20 concrete trucks from the batch plant that Granite Rock operates in Seaside. The next thing that they've completed is the final grading for this, basically the subgrade before the pavement for the driveway and the parking lot. Auto construction also completed installation of the water and sewer lines out to Fifth Street. And the on-site storm drain system, which includes 2 dry wells to percolate the stormwater on-site, that has been completed. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Luis Flores. He's going to step through Harrison Associates' efforts on this project.
Thanks, Patrick. Good evening, Mayor Rios, City Council. So as Patrick mentioned, over the last 2 months, Harrison Associates, myself and my colleagues have continued project and construction management services on the Gonzalez Community Center project. Some of my project management responsibilities include managing the project budget. So I work very closely with Patrick and Carmen, providing quarterly cash flow projections, tracking project expenditures and finances from various funding sources. Through the end of August, we've utilized 30% of the project budget. That includes hard costs, soft costs, and most of it, about 65% of those costs are associated with the design and pre-construction and the planning, all of the planning work that has happened to date. On the construction management front, I am responsible for reviewing conformance to contractual requirements, budget and schedule. I work closely with project stakeholders, the design build team, to resolve project challenges that may reside in the field through design or on the procurement front. I lead our weekly construction meetings, and I, again, work closely with Auto Construction and WRNS Studio, and we are monitoring and processing project submittals and RFIs. For those unfamiliar with those terms, submittals are technical documents that the contractor provides as information to the design team on how they're going to fulfill material procurement items, fabrication of different project elements, so that they can be reviewed, approved before they're ever fabricated and delivered to the job site. To date, we've processed 160 submittals and 42 RFIs. RFIs are requests for information, which is a formal process in construction where a contractor or a vendor can ask for additional clarification on items within the design or specifications that might be conflicting or might have some ambiguity to them. And so every week at our project meetings, we review those with the stakeholders, with the city, and we come up with solutions so that we can keep the project moving forward and we can maintain our schedule. I also partner with Auto Construction on scheduling all of the inspections for the project. So building inspections, fire inspections, site civil inspections, and specialty inspections. Harris also performs the site civil inspections. So we have an inspector on site. His name's Abdallah Nas, and he's been overseeing the installation of sanitary sewer system, the water, underground fire, water, domestic irrigation, and then now the underground electrical work. And then lastly, Harris also provides labor compliance services. So my colleague Tracy Bradford receives all of the certified payroll documents from the contractor on a monthly basis, and she reviews them for conformance against the DIR requirements to make sure that we're following all the proper protocols. I'll conclude the presentation just by giving you just a brief overview on the schedule. So through the end of August, we're about 17% complete with the project. Building A substructure right now is anticipated to be completed on October 29th. And we're going to be holding a top out ceremony, which is a common ceremony in construction where you celebrate big milestone for putting the last structural beam on the roof structure. And so we'll provide more details to Patrick and Carmen about that. It's an opportunity for city council staff to come out to the field and sign the beam before it's ever placed up at the top. Followed by that milestone, the next high-level milestone is the completion of the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing rough-in within the building footprint. So that'll happen early February 6th next year. Building is forecasted to be weather tight, meaning all of the exterior walls, the roof, the glass, the doors will be in by February 25th of 2025. And then substantial completion right now is forecasted still on schedule, November 24th of next year. I was gonna show a time-lapse video. I don't know if it's working or not, but I wanted to share just high levels, a brief overview of everything that's been happening out there. And so thank you for your time, and let me know if you have any questions.
Thanks, Luis. Yeah, I want to mention, and I think Luis touched on it, we're on schedule, and it's a terrific team out there. Auto Construction, their subcontractors, WRNS, Harrison Associates, everybody's rowing in the same direction and all that. So this is a major project with a heck of a lot of moving parts. And yeah, I'll just mention City Manager Carmen, Councilmember Worthy, and Councilmember Silva came out to the site on Thursday. It's really great to visit now that the concrete slab's down. You can visualize where each room is and what's going to go where. So that was a great milestone to get it poured. And so that concludes our presentation, and ready for any council comments, questions?
I have one, Mr. Flores. I'm assuming that on the electrical as well as the plumbing, that we're stubbing out for the future community center room and then of course the future gymnasium. Is that correct?
Yep, that is correct. So we ran or extended conduits and water lines for sewer, water, fire, water, electrical, and then also fire alarm.
Awesome.
Right.
Any additional questions from council for Mr. Flores? No?
I'll say something real
Oh,
quick.
yes, go ahead.
I just want to thank you, Luis, and to Nick as well. You know how giddy I got up there and I just like, I'm standing inside what's going to be the library. I'm standing inside with, so have the walls, those few walls that they were putting together that day, have they gone up? I haven't passed by today.
Not yet. So steel fabrication started today,
Okay.
and so they're likely going to place the columns first. They're framing the walls out in the concrete pad, and then they're going to erect them. So when that happens, you're just going to see a partial structure, and you're gonna be like, wow, when did that happen?
Well,
It's gonna be
I just
interesting,
thought it
but-
was awesome and thank you also. I appreciated the safety video that we had to watch before we went on site. And we all wore our hard hats and felt very official out there. So I'm very thankful to you and Nick. I can hardly wait till till we go sign our names next month.
Yeah, no, thank you both for coming by, and other council members that want to stop by, let us know and we'll coordinate a visit for you.
It's worth the trip.
Yeah, thank you for having us. I appreciate it too. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no.
And we can see it. It's coming along. Amazing.
Touch it.
Yeah.
And one last thing, I'd like to just thank Chief Jason for helping us out with all the fire inspections and coming out there. He's very diligent and helping us out and making sure that we're doing things correctly. And so I'd like to give you a thanks. Yes. There you go. All right, thank you.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and open this item up to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to comment on this item may do so at this time. No rushing to the podium. Okay. Stella, any comments via Zoom?
No comments via Zoom.
Mary, any comments via email?
No comments via email.
Okay, well, I'm hoping people are paying attention to this, and I would have loved to have seen some comments from both Zoom and email, but having none, that's okay. I'll go ahead and close the public meeting on opportunities to comment, and we'll bring it back to council discussion, and really all you need from us is just receive the report, correct?
Keep it moving.
Okay? All right, we'll move on to the next item of business here. It is authorize the city manager to accept the California Office of Traffic Safety Grant EM 25022 in the amount of $42,933 for the purchase of new hydraulic vehicle extraction equipment.
I-
Staff report.
I'm gonna go ahead and let Mr. Mucio take that one.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is a really easy one for you all. Somebody wants to give us money and we'd like permission to take that money.
Absolutely.
So the grant in question came from the Office of Traffic Safety. They have a program where they provide grant funding for various projects, not only traffic safety projects throughout the state, but also for equipment for EMS and first responders. Due to the city manager's directive to seek money wherever possible and to seek grant funding, even if it's not something you like doing, we went ahead and applied for this, and lo and behold, we got the grant. So what this is going to do is it's going to purchase for us hydraulic extrication equipment. Basically, our jaws of life, instead of running on the old gas motor with the hydraulic lines and everything else, these run on battery. So we simply just pop them off the truck and go right to work. I think we're the only department left in Monterey County that doesn't currently have that equipment. So that's gonna bring us kind of in line with the rest of our mutual aid partners. Lately, sometimes when we go to accidents like with regional, we just get their tools because they're just easier to use and we don't have to take all our stuff out. So this stuff's faster to deploy, easier to set up. And like I said, the majority of the cost is being covered by the grant. I believe there was there's about a $2,000 cost share involved.
We can do that.
So that concludes my presentation. And if you have any questions.
I don't think so, but we'll go ahead and open it up to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to comment on this item may do so at this time. Look at the picture of the podium there, it still looks like an empty podium. So I will go ahead and ask Estella, do we have any comments via Zoom?
No comments via Zoom.
Mary, comments via email?
No comments via email.
Thank you. Then I'll go ahead and close the public comment period on this item and bring it back for either council discussion or council action.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion that we adopt, I'm sorry. We authorize city manager to accept the grant and make the necessary adjustments to the fire department budget line 100-30-6210 special department expense to reflect the available funds.
Second?
Okay, I have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Let the record show that Mrs. Silva's had to step out of the council chambers.
I do want to commend Mr. Mayor and the staff for following the city manager's directive and shaking some more trees.
Thank you.
And bushes.
Keep shaking.
That's right.
All right, item number 19, consider approval of resolution number 2024-58, a joint resolution of the city council of the city of Gonzales, city council as board to the successor agency to the Gonzales Redevelopment Agency Board, the Gonzales Successor Housing Agency / Board of the Gonzales Electric Authority Board of the Gonzales Municipal Electric Utility approving Amendment 1 to the employment agreement for city manager / successor agency, director / successor housing agency, executive director Gonzales Electric Authority, executive director / Gonzales Municipal Electric Utility, executive director. That's a mouthful. Staff report.
It's a good thing Carmen doesn't have to fit all that onto a single business.
I was gonna say, it just, that might be a challenge.
This is a bit of a ministerial action. If you recall, a meeting ago or so, the council adopted ordinance number 2024-146, which increased the bidding threshold for purchase of supplies and equipment without having to go out to bid from $5,000 to $50,000. Recently, when we looked at Carmen's contract for all of those jobs, during her performance evaluation, which we concluded on August 5th, we decided that if this ordinance passed, we would need to make an amendment because currently her agreement, her employment agreement says she has a limit as to her spending authority and it doesn't match the new bidding threshold. So this simply will make one amendment to her current employment agreement to increase the bidding threshold to meet what the ordinance clearly says now, which is the 50,000 no bid threshold. She also serves as the purchasing officer for the city pursuant to the code. We decided not to include that one into the title of the resolution as well, but so she would have probably been able to exercise that authority, but for the fact we have this provision in her employment contract right now, which limits it to 5,000, I think, and then 15,000 or 10,000 at another point. So we had previously discussed this during the performance evaluation, and so I'm bringing it forward to you tonight so that we can go ahead and put it into effect so that she can start using that authority. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions from staff? No? I'll go ahead and open this up to the public. Any member of the public wishing to comment on this item may do so at this time. And again, I can see the empty podium. So that being said, I will go ahead and look to Estella. Do we have any comments via Zoom?
No comments via Zoom.
Mary, any comments via email?
No comments via email.
Okay, and I'll bring this back to, and it says here, council agency / board discussion. So any discussion or action from?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion. We adopt joint resolution number 2024-58.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on. And we are down to the Gonzales Youth Council updates.
Good evening, council. Of course, I'm Emily Mendez. I am the Gonzales Youth Council Commissioner. Just wanted to update on our process of getting our members. We recently did interviews Wednesday through Friday this past week, and it went really well. We held them right here in the chambers. We did 15 increments from 4 to 6, and we interviewed around 13 members. All of them were great candidates. I was so excited to interview them and just see their passions and what we want to pursue. And I'm just really excited to do that. Also with updating of orientation, which would also be held here this Saturday, which I'm really excited for, but Valeria with the meeting.
Yes, and thank you, Emily. We have orientation for Saturday from 9 to 2, and then our first council meeting is scheduled to be the last Thursday, which is September 26th. So.
Thank you. That's it?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
it. Thank
that's
you.
fine. Moving on. We're business from the council, and this is on council boards or committee reports. Item A is League of California Cities. I have nothing to report. Item B is Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments, and that's Mr. Fuck.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, nothing, no updates to bring back to council tonight. Just AMBAG staff continues to move forward with and say more administrative functions and moving forward, metropolitan transit planning, et cetera, and things of that nature that are all ultimately ends up in TAMC and MST, et cetera, but continue to move products along, or funding along.
Thank you. Monterey Salinas Transit. Ms. Worthy?
Yes. I just wanted to let everyone know something that happened. The August Employee of the Month for Monterey Salinas Transit was Dahlia Lopez, who drives for 23, which is ours. She had an incident where someone was ODing from a drug overdose, and she used her head very quickly and asked if anyone had Narcan on the bus, because they do not carry Narcan on the bus. So she called 911, obviously, and her supervisor, and fortunately there was someone on the bus that did have Narcan, and they saved that person's life. I have brought to the attention to our executive director that I feel that the driver should have Narcan on the bus. We've discussed it over and over again. He said he can't force the bus drivers to carry it. I've also spoken to Jason, who I'm hoping at some point can have a discussion with the executive director there, because I think it's very important. And especially in South County, we do have some issues with that, and Salinas as well. So I just want to do a shout out to Dahlia because of her quick thinking. She was able to get this taken care of, and that's why she was Employee of the Month for August. I want to also say that the MST board, we ratified a contract with Commute with Enterprise for the van pools. So that will continue into 2025 and 2026, which I think is important for everyone to know. And on-call services, this is very important. On-call services in South County will discontinue in December. And I don't want anyone to panic at this point, because the MST circulators will be in effect. Hopefully will be completed by the end of 2024. And we are in contact. I have spoken to Patrick and also to Carmen about, after looking at the data for who actually does the on-call, we have really low, we have something with Corda Camp. So we're going to try to see if we can work something out with either rides or the MST circulators. So if they can get to a certain point, if they can get to a circulator, then perhaps we can do something. So I'm talking to Carl about that. So that should be, that's ongoing, and we have a couple of months. The other thing that I do want to bring to everyone's attention, even though it was removed from our agenda, is the SURF project. I'm sure all of you know about the SURF. Everybody up here knows about the SURF project. But I do want to just read something quickly. We have been working with the Coastal Commission to get a busway permit for the SURF project. On Thursday, the Coastal Commission met, and they started at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was finally approved by around 5 p.m. that same day. Now, there were other things that they were talking about that day, but I did want everyone to know that there were 54 speakers that day that spoke either for or against the SURF project. We had speakers from South County. We had Jimmy Panetta, Zoe Lofgren, John Laird. So, I mean, there were many people that were involved in this project. And I didn't go, and part of the reason why I didn't go was because there were 54 speakers, and I didn't think we needed to say the same thing over and over and over again. But the one thing that I did want to bring up, just so everyone understands, the SURF project is a 5-mile, 2-lane busway proposed along the abandoned rail corridor parcel to Highway 1 that will integrate with existing Line 20, which is Salinas Monterey. And it was designed with input from over 4,500 Monterey County residents collected over 4.5 years. This is something that will connect South County, Salinas to Monterey, and it will be a designated bus lane so that they can avoid the traffic. Because as you all know, for any of you who travel Highway 1, it's a very, very congested area. And this is hopefully something that will work for all of us. And I want to clarify that the reporter from KSBW said it was a $74 million project, when in actuality, it's over $90 million project. And we are getting funding from the federal government. I mean, there's a lot that we've been working on for over 5 years to get this to fruition. So this is a great thing that happened on Thursday, and it will benefit all of our residents here, as it will on the peninsula. And hopefully this will give some of our kids who don't have an opportunity to be able to go over to the peninsula to catch a bus from here and ride a bus over to the peninsula and see the water and do that. So that's something that I really look forward to. So that's the good news. So that's what I have for this week. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to oral communications. Ms. Orozco, would you like to start this evening?
Thank you. Just want to remind folks that the St. Theodore's Church Annual Carnival is scheduled for October the 6th. We have a lot of activities planned for that day, a lot of good food, good music, and the kids area. So we hope everybody can help and attend and support our fundraising efforts for the church. Thank you.
Mr. Funk?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, and actually, I'm kind of piggybacking off tonight's public comment in respect to obscuring, ramps and things of that nature. I know it's clearly it's a street by street scenario and so forth, and some streets are fine, some aren't. Yeah. It's been brought up in my neighborhood as well. A couple of residents who, nice thing is that folks, when we politely approach them, they tend to move their vehicles, but I think again, street by street, and depends on how crowded the street is. I like the idea that was brought up though about painting the ramps. I know we've had the green corridor, and it's obviously a little clearer for, I think for our law enforcement, where it's easier to, to ticket, et cetera, right? If someone's parked and, what's, well, as it is, obviously, if someone's parking on a ramp, right, it may not be a city code, but point being is that I think it makes it easier for an officer if someone's, parked on green or whatever color, the color the ramp may be, but maybe a thought. Clearly, it's additional cost. It may be a strategy for us to consider, but if we could, Mr. Mayor, I'd like the staff to take it back, just to look at options and see what's possible in that respect. Clearly, we have whether it's whatever arm we want to put it on, code violations, et cetera. There's a lot of things we can or levers we can look at, I'm sure, on the parking side, but anyhow, but having the ramps, I know we're obviously we're trying to keep the kids on the ramps and so forth, and and typically officers are pretty good about they're very good about when they're called about someone blocking crossing the driveway and blocking a sidewalk, et cetera. So I know some residents are more vigilant than others and have been a bit more vigilant in the past, and officers do a good job at making sure, and the neighbors typically get the hint and so forth, and stop blocking crosswalks. But anyhow, I thought there may be an opportunity there.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, nothing else.
Okay. Ms. Solo.
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, Lorraine and I, as part of our community service commitment to the American Legion Auxiliary, and in honor of our city beautification, we went out on Saturday morning for a few hours, and we hit two of our main streets. We had them identified by our public works. So we started on Alta from 10th all the way to A Street, turned around, came back on Belden, and we collected I'd say about 40 to 50 pounds of trash. Surprisingly, the first block, I think we had probably a dozen face masks. They were just in the empty lot that's over between 10th and 8th Street. And I think there's a lot of trucks that park there, so maybe they fly out of their vehicles, I don't know, but there was just a lot of them over there. We did report other issues that we saw along our way. We were greeted by residents who were walking. They were very positive. They asked us what we were doing. We told them. And it really only takes a couple of people, a couple of hours, maybe every month, once a month, just to clean up your street. And, you know, the little bit that we can do will have big results and will make our city look a little bit cleaner. And I know that there was one that we found that was a broken water meter, and it was just, the water was just rolling down. Nobody really cared, but you could tell there was tire tracks over this particular meter. So I'm sure that the resident may come into the city hall and complain of a high water bill because it was just spewing out. It was just surprising to both of us. And I'd like to encourage the community to go out to your sidewalk, see if there's any overgrowth into the sidewalk that would prevent somebody from walking, or a person with a walker trying to get by, or a person with a stroller trying to get through. We found some areas that really needed some TLC in that regards. I'm a short person, but there was a few areas that I really had to duck really low because tree branches were coming over the sidewalk. And again, you know, just kind of go out there, spend a couple of minutes. It doesn't take very long. So, I mean, I had a good time out there. And I want to put a shout out to the Gonzales Knights. They had a fundraiser on Saturday afternoon. Unfortunately, the person that they had contracted did not provide the item in a timely manner. The fundraiser was supposed to end at 3. I believe it ended at 6. I waited an hour and a half for my potatoes. People had other commitments that day, so they gave up tickets. And I just hope that it doesn't reflect on this group's efforts to raise funds. They did what they needed to do. Unfortunately, the person they contracted with fell short. So please continue to support these kids and all their efforts. The Little League, whoever comes to your house to sell fundraising tickets, please continue to support them. And let's not let this one negative event keep anybody from supporting our kids. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Worthy.
I would like to dovetail off of what Councilmember Silva said, because I have been in contact now with Abel Avila, who is in charge of the Knights, and they lost money on it. So that's not good when you have a fundraiser. So for those of you that can, if you can donate to the Knights, that would be fantastic. They work very hard, and they worked really hard on Saturday. As far as the cleanup goes, we will do this again. We have decided to do it again on the 28th. For those of you out there that would like to help out, you're more than welcome to join us. And I do want to do a shout out to Maori Tree Levin for providing the vests and the gloves from Tri-Cities, the gloves, the vests, the whatever those picker-upper things that they give us. And it really was nice because we were able to talk to residents and all of that too. The other thing I want to mention that I didn't know until later this afternoon, Connie Ariano actually looked at the community garden and decided to do some work on that, and noticed that there was a father and a son who had also gone over there and brought their shovels and their buckets and all kinds of things. And she said, well, you know, if you get the combination from the city, that there are some tools in there provided. But she started pulling weeds and her daughter started pulling weeds, so we can actually add her to our community service. She mentioned that it'd be nice to have, we've talked about this, so I know it's coming, and I want everybody to know that, you know, to have an area that basically says pumpkins and tomatoes or whatever. I think we learned a little bit this year that we can't plant certain things with other things, because somebody had actually gone over, picked a bunch of tomatoes and just left them there. And, you know, that's food for somebody that might need food. So if you don't want to take it home for yourself, you might know someone who may need some food, and you can take the tomatoes to them. She also recommended maybe we can talk to Maori, which I will do, maybe get some compost bins. We can do a compost area and, you know, this guy brought a wheelbarrow and all kinds of things to work out there. So I know that it's really new and I want everyone to know that it is new. We're learning as we're going. I think by next year, it's going to be a lot better. But it's exciting that we're seeing people that are actually going out there. The last thing that I want to say is thank you to Corporal Castillo. I spoke to him on Saturday. He was instrumental in helping Mr. Gutierrez, who had some issues. I actually spoke to him about a couple of things. I'm getting really diligent about this. I'm going to start reporting some things that I see. And one of the things that I see are expired licenses on vehicles. If you have an expired license on your vehicle, people are going to start checking it out. We're going to start reporting. So people need to really pay attention to that. And lastly is I just want to ask a question about Measure S that's coming up in November. Is there a group of any kind that we know of that is working on that project? This is a question to Carmen, and that's all I have at this point.
In regards to that, can I add additional question that maybe that way you kind of think about it, and Michael as well? Michael, you kind of gave us a list of what we as a council can do and not do. If we go out and hand flowers out as an individual, saying nothing about it, just saying this is on the ballot, just want to give you a heads up. That's, in my understanding, that's okay to do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, as long as they're flowers that are produced by you, not by.
Right, of course. Right.
The city can provide that. That's what
Right.
I know it's such a.
There are individuals who I know that are working to support the measure.
Okay.
I don't know what's.
Okay.
But the city is continuing to provide information and education and resources out for folks. I can share that the FAQs and the survey hit mailboxes last week sometime. And since then, we've received a good number of phone calls asking about the measure. Some are just asking questions and trying to understand. And there are others that, don't want a raise in taxes. And so we're taking kind of the whole gamut of calls now that people are getting a little bit more and more information that this is going to be on the ballot.
All right, are you done, Lori?
Yes, I
Okay.
am.
All right, to that, I had made the comments, and unfortunately Scott and Maria were not here at the last council meeting, was that I think, and this is just my own opinion, I don't know what the rest of the council feels like, but I think if we have success in passing Measure S, I think we need to start setting aside real money for helping folks with a potential down payment on a new house. And I know there's other communities that do this. They work in conjunction with the county to help first-time home buyers put a down payment on a house and thereby qualify for it. They in turn charge like 1% over the life of the loan. That I think there's a grace period where they get 10 or 15 years, bless you, before they have to start paying on that loan. And if we're going to be making 800, I'd like to see if we can squirrel 100 away every year for future home buyers in the hopefully Vista Lucia project. I don't know how, if we need to, hopefully have that pass, and then just food for thought for the council to think about, do we really want to make a conviction to say, yes, we support affordable housing. This is how we're going to do our part. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Obviously, Measure S may fail, and so there'll be nothing to discuss. But at a future council meeting, I'd like to bring that up for a more robust discussion. The other thing that I want to bring before this council, and again, I'd like to get a presentation from the Monterey County Air Board regarding the stench that has been percolating out of the M&M Dairy. And I know that they have a right to farm project, which is creating fertilizer for our local farming community. I don't live as close as, say, Maria or Carmen or Lorraine. But there are days that I walk out the back door and I'm like, oh, hell no, forget this. I'll just go back inside because it stenches bad. It almost makes my eyes water. So if it's that bad for me, I cannot begin to fathom what it's like for you guys. So I think I'd like to hear from the air board, you know. Is there anything that this city can do? Because remember, we're gonna have some new housing that's gonna be built there. God forbid that stench gets worse. I'm not sure we're gonna be able to sell any houses. You know, I'm just throwing that out there for thought and for conversation, air quality. I mean, it's a real thing. I mean, I was talking to a gentleman who lives in Visalia, and when I told him what our air quality was, he was like, what's the price of housing up there? He was telling me that he's normally in the 60 and 70 range of air quality in that valley. And I thought, whoo, that's like, you know, if you have asthma, you definitely don't want to be out there. So this is not asthma type, but boy, that stench is just so unbearable. And I said, I'm way south of that. I cannot begin to fathom what Maria must be because she's the closest to it. So let's invite them here. I'd like to hear their take on it. And I'm, you know, I'm all ears, as you can see. And I'd like to hear what their take on that is. The last thing I want to comment, and again, I feel Mr. Gutierrez's pain. And it's not going to get better, especially if we're adding ADUs. The number of vehicles that are parked, I mean, I see that along Fifth Street because the apartments on Fifth Street, the apartments over on South Alta. You know, he mentioned there was 115 units out there. I'm going to take a wild guess that there must be 3 vehicles for every unit or more, because I see the vehicles there and I know that we are technically on borrowed time because that property across the way there is Southern Pacific's property. I am shocked and happy that they haven't brought us to task on that. Because as far as I know, I haven't been on the council but 4 years, but I don't believe we have anything in writing that says that we can do what we're doing because we set a crosswalk light. And so that obviously says that we're okay with it. So the reason I'm going through this is that we had a lady come here before us who had a very valid point. And she said that she was willing to pay for additional permit should she need them. And she said, you know, every home out here is built with a garage. A lot of folks choose to change their garage from a parking area to storage. She says, I'm okay with that. But you know, why should my front yard be taken up by other people's vehicles? I'm willing to pay for a parking permit. It happens in Santa Clara. Santa Clara gives out, I believe, 3 parking permits for residents, and anything more is not allowed. I hear about all the commercial vehicles. I've seen them. I've walked when I could see a little bit better. I've walked your subdivision over in the north end of town, and there's literally big commercial trucks literally blocking the sidewalk. So much for safe routes to school. I mean, you know, that's a long walk, but neither there nor there. It's like he said, you know, when you have a stroller, you have to walk out into the street and then back up, and you don't even have a ramp because the truck is taking that whole part. I mean, we have to begin to do something because if not, this is just going to continue to go downhill. And be honest with you, I'm okay with parking tickets, or not parking tickets, excuse me, parking permits. I think she had a very valid point. You technically have 4 illegal spots on your property, the 2 in the garage and 2 in the driveway. That's 4 vehicles. At one point, I had much more than that because I had teenage kids. And in actuality, I think we were up to total of, at any given time, was only 5. And only 2 were on the street. The rest were either carport or garage or driveway. So I know it's possible to have enough parking space in most cases that everyone should find a place to park. You know, we have two ADUs going on in Third Street here. With no provisions for additional parking. So that means at least I'm taking a hopeful guess that it's only gonna be 4 more vehicles on Third Street. But nothing says they can't have 5 or 6.
Right. And that's the problem.
I mean, I have one house has 8 cars in my circle. One house. And he knows how I feel because he's starting to park.
So do we want to provide direction to staff since, so we don't get ourselves in trouble here?
I'd like staff to kind of review that and see what our options are. Like I said, I'm okay with parking permits because I think she had a very valid point and I'd be okay with doing it citywide.
And I think that would happen, Mr. Mayor. There was a blur there. We were all trying to forget, a time with their in the city manager tenure. But yeah, but when that person came, but that person did go out and I think did some polling. If I recall correctly, PG specifically had something in, and then obviously Salinas and other Monterey, et cetera. So maybe if that's something we can provide direction to the city manager, to the current city manager, to potentially investigate and bring back. I remember getting an update, but from my prior person. But then that ended quickly. So I don't think anything went with that, but that may be an opportunity, Mr. Mayor, to.
So just for clarification, to conduct a poll to see how community would feel about permitted parking? Is that something you're interested in getting some data?
I think maybe we start with maybe direction, or maybe what other communities are doing.
Yeah. And then from a legal aspect, and I'll defer to Mr. Rodriguez. Is that feasible? Obviously, other communities are doing it, and then what's that entail? Because if it's gonna entail lots of legal time and.
It's gonna be a challenge.
Yeah.
I know City of San Luis does have parking permits around the hospital, but that's.
Yeah.
It's a significant amount of work.
It is.
It's not done on a citywide basis, it's usually done on a district basis.
Yeah.
It requires the consent of a significant portion of the property that's gonna be affected. So you have to have. So forth, so, but yeah.
City park districts.
Okay. Council okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Those are my. Yes, Ms. Worthy.
But Pacific
Okay.
Grove, if I understood correctly, went through that here, I guess now, go back in time now, probably 3 years ago, I guess it was, they went through a significant, anyhow, I understood that city manager at that time was full of good information. They had more recent ordinances and so forth that had gone on the books and so forth.
Alrighty, we're down to business from our city manager.
All right. Okay, one thing I just did want to report out, we did have Public Works take a look at what the cost would be to take all the trees down on Alta. And keep in mind, this is just to take them out.
Yep.
We need a plan to figure out what we're gonna do after they come out. Just to take them all down, it's $18,000.
Well, how much?
18,000.
18.
So
Okay.
$20,000 almost. Again, that's
To
just to
take
take them
out the
out,
dead trees.
to take them out. Yeah, 46 trees to take them all out and get the roots and.
Wait a minute. 50 dead trees on Alta?
Correct. So it's just, I'm reporting that so you know that
Okay.
we are looking into it and seeing what, if anything, they could be replaced with, trying to come up with a plan as to what we can do for that area, but
Okay.
keeping in mind costs, right? Just on another note, I will be at the 3CE meeting this Wednesday and Thursday, so I will be out of the office. On your calendars, I do want you to mark October 12th for the Blue Zones Health Day at Central Park. They're gonna have a pretty large event out there, inviting the entire community. It's gonna be flu clinic and a bunch of other giveaways. I think they're even gonna do food box giveaways as well. October 26th is our Harvest Festival. And I do, Mayor, you mentioned the air quality or odor that's going on. We are having Chief Musio look into that. So We'll come back with some more information on that. We are getting reports from the public as well, so we're doing some homework on just what, if anything, they could do, or what is the expectation of them to do for to address the odor issue. Making sure I got everything here. Yeah, that's all I have for tonight, and I think Chief Weiss has something to share.
Yeah, just real quick, along the lines of parking enforcement or parking concerns in the city, I'd like to share with you so far to date, from January 1st, 2024 to today, the police department has issued a total of 240 parking citations. 49 of those were 72-hour violations, 78 for expired registrations, 24 for parking on sidewalks, 18 for parking unlawful or double parking, 10 for blocking driveways, and 61 miscellaneous other citations for parking in a red zone, fire lane, fire hydrant, disabled, et cetera. So 240 citations. So officers are out there enforcing parking regulations. You do the math, it's, we're 9 months into the year, it's 240 tickets.
Yeah.
So it would be nice of people to violate the parking regulations. as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that update. I know that, I know my street hasn't been a big issue recently that I'm aware of, but I know in the past, and officers were always great about showing up and taking care of a block drive, block sidewalks, et cetera. So, but yeah, it's good. It's on one hand, an unfortunate number, but it's but at the same time though, there's something going on.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Anything else for the good of the order? If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Let's do it.
Right. All right, all those in favor?
I.
Motion carries. We are done. See you all next month.
Done.
You're done. Oh, amen. Matter of fact, you know what? Believe it or not, we had a bigger home that we offered Simone. He's like, no, Dad, not in that neighborhood. That is so overcrowded. So he is just over the top